Hey everyone, Yang Yanjiao here. Today we're checking out a book, Hammer, which is a Ragnarok Tale. And I'm going to be upfront with everyone. I originally passed on this book the first time it came up in crowdfunding. And the reason is I kind of didn't understand it. This character that we can see on the front page here, she's got a mohawk, which appears to be white. I mean, it's black and white, so we can say. And she's got a hammer, which really reminded me of Storm from, I believe it was X-Men Annual 10, Art Adams art, which was really a classic. So to me, it's like, well, is that just a ripoff of that? But it turns out the answer is no, it definitely is not. And we'll get into why in a second. So this book, I was really happy to be given a PDF to review by the author Jason Krager. And I have to say, I'm very glad. I am going to back this book now, and we will get into exactly why. So this book it starts off with Ragnarok. You've got Odin, he's fighting the world snake. It sets up kind of what's going to go. Most of the gods are dead, and we end up in this post-apocalyptic world. This woman, she's out, she's scavenging, she's got to make her way. Not sure why she has a 13 on there. It sort of sets up exactly what's happened. She kind of gets adopted by a guy who is also a scavenger. And for some reason, which I'm not real sure, in this world, everyone believes in the Norse gods. Now, I assume it's because Ragnarok happened, so therefore, obviously the Norse religion was correct. I'm not 100% sure, and it's not explained in this first one. She eventually makes her way out, and she had seen a meteorite hit the earth, and she finds this hammer. This hammer has powers, and there's other people who are after it. So Loki, who basically started Ragnarok, and he seems to be the villain of this series, he is out to get this hammer. He wants to stop the Odin sons from coming back. And I don't want to get too far into spoiler territory because it's a really nice modern, well, post-apocalyptic take on classic Norse mythology. So interspersed throughout this whole story, you have different parts where Krager is also throwing in parts of classic myths, so you can there's a mirror between what's going on in the near future and what happened in the mythologic past. So overall, this book is great. She's got this weird sneer, we can see here. But I was a little concerned too that, well, the book is black and white. Most people like color these days. Actually, I think it looks better in black and white. I think if you had color, it would be a lot more disorganized. I like the kind of rough and ready quality of it. It's kind of got some pieces looked a little more ink, some almost look like charcoal. The book itself is pretty good. If I had to pick nits, the one thing I don't like is this font. So on this page, the table of contents, it works fine. But once you start getting into these two pages of wall of text, my dyslexia makes this incredibly hard to read. Another thing I do like about this, even though it's hard to read, on this page here, he lays out quick definitions for who the main characters are. We have Midgard, the earth created by Odin and his brothers. And so in this way, you don't have to be super knowledgeable about the old Norse myths in order to enjoy this book. I definitely enjoy this as a guy in his mid-40s. I think it's a smart take on classic mythology. But one thing that really struck me when I was reading this is the perfect, perfect book for younger people. So I would say junior high to high school age. And one of the reasons is school sucks. They just suck the life out of all the classics that you have to read. They make Greek mythology, they make ancient history so dry and boring. I mean, Shakespeare, who the hell wants to read Shakespeare? That's boring AF. I think a lot of it's because teachers just don't get the literature themselves, and a lot of them just think if they have to suffer, so do the students. My inner conspiratorial self would almost like to believe it's done on purpose so kids no longer have connections to the stories that people have found meaningful for thousands of years. So, Hammer is perfect. The best way to get teenagers into reading the classics, it's to tell the stories in a more modern way. You know, people don't understand a lot of the old parables. They don't really understand fishing tales. Nobody needs to fish to eat these days. Nobody needs to farm to eat these days. Everybody has money from here or there. It's not a matter of life and death anymore. A lot of the ways of life that you would see in the traditional world don't apply, although they are kind of back in the future. So by reading this book, I think a lot of kids, especially young boys, who don't like to read, would be able to see these stories and start to get interested. Oh, I like this. This is cool. Oh, Mjolnir. Oh, I kind of remember that from that Thor movie. Oh, okay. Oh, well, Valhalla. Oh, what's this Valhalla stuff? And by doing that, they actually might go back and study. Study is kind of a loaded term, but let's say go and read a lot of these classic myths and have a little bit more connection with our cultural heritage. So I like this a lot. There is, at the end, a second story. Well, here's this 2-page thing, which luckily they use a more normal font for. It's a story about Odin, and I'm not quite sure what the dealio with this is. At first I thought Krager went full Dave Sim, but it just seems to be a written tale. I don't know if this is original or if this is his own, and I'm not entirely sure what the connection with the previous story was. And then, maybe, there we go. There is, nope. We end up in another story. Different artists, a little bit more manga style, and I'm a little confused about what exactly this is. This is another North-esque mythological tale, but it's kind of supposed to be funny, I think. And I think this is the same lady, but I'm not entirely sure. I don't know if this is like a continuing adventure or what exactly. And man, you got Fraga to do a piece of art for this. That's impressive. So, at any rate, Hammer, still available. I will put a link to where you can hit up the Indiegogo down in the description. I suggest you check it out. I did. And tell me what you think. Is Hammer something that interests you? What do you think about new takes on old mythology? Give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It definitely helps me out a lot. And we'll see you back soon for some more comic reviews.